I'm an intuitive, and I really see that intuition is, we all have it. And so my business is teaching business owners and professionals in particular how to use intuition to create their businesses, their success, balance their lives.
Right.
But haunted houses has always been my childhood passion. I've always been intrigued by haunted houses.
Really? What is an intuitive exactly?
An intuitive is the ability to kind of make separation from the physical reality and kind of open up to your sixth sense, your third eye, beyond what is tangible.
Right. And this is something you say that we all have, but you've developed this skill for yourself.
Everyone is intuitive, especially children, but everyone is intuitive, and I am better at it only because I pay attention to it and I practice it. You're intuitive. We all are.
Okay.
So my business is about teaching people how to open up to their intuition and how to use it.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah. Maybe we can do a session sometime.
That would be great.
Just drive by our house. I just look at this floor. It's beautiful.
So are you ready to be intuitive?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. What would be kind of fun is to kind of demystify all this, that only like clairvoyants or psychics can read spirit. Actually, everyone can. So, you ready to try?
I'm ready to try.
Okay. So what you're going to do is we're going to get quiet, and we're going to start to focus within, and just kind of open your awareness. Just kind of allow yourself to open up to what you feel, what you hear, what you see in your mind's eye. Just start to pay attention. And intuition really, in a lot of ways, is about paying attention in a different way. So we're going to go into a couple of rooms here.
Okay.
And we're both going to just kind of notice what we feel. And I'll ask you some questions. And I want you just to give your first spontaneous response without thinking.
Okay.
So being intuitive means not to think.
Right.
Because what you're going to sense is not logical.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So I believe these are servants' quarters or servants' areas, this third floor.
Right.
So we'll be looking at the energy of what's here. It may not be the servants. So don't make any assumptions about what we're going to experience. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing is take a deep breath. And just kind of get quiet. Kind of calm yourself down. And just be aware of opening your awareness. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to walk into this room and just notice what it feels like. And just whatever your impressions you have. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Question, do you notice a difference between out there and in here?
Yeah, it's almost like a wave or like the wind, like the air change.
Okay, what are your impressions? Just
well, it's different from one side to the other. Looking over here feels somehow cozy, like a respite almost. Over here, I feel sort of scared. But it's funny because that was my first kind of hit. It was a little bit of a wave of that, and then it stopped. But I almost felt like it was because it was me not wanting to be uncomfortable.
Not about thinking, just your impressions. What's your impression of her servants? Is there any energy that's left here from people who, because we leave our energy places, we do.
Yeah.
So, what's your impression, any impressions of her servants, just by, what did you notice over here?
Well, when you said servant, I suddenly had like a mental image of them. For whatever reason. Okay.
Stop being logical. Stop explaining it.
Right.
What was that image?
It was some guy with jet black hair and kind of like a really thick, dark kind of beard, but not grown in, just that like thick, dark kind of hair, like and colors, like almost like a French guy from like 1860s or something.
Great. Now, don't think about it.
Okay.
Because what happens is we our first impression is our intuitive impression,
Yeah.
and then we start thinking about it. We start analyzing it.
Right. Figure out what it
Don't
means.
go there.
Yeah.
Okay, my first impression,
Yeah.
because I was tuned into her, it's right in that chair, right there on the left,
Yeah.
was an old woman. And I actually think that uncomfortable energy you felt there, I think she actually died in this room. She was one of her really long-standing servants. I see her as an older, kind of overweight woman. She doesn't look very well. So my impression is she might have either died in this room or been very near to death, and she left part of her life force energy here. She's the first one I saw when I came in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we tend to tune into the spirits that attract our attention.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that you would tune into a male.
To this guy.
And that I would tune into a female.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know, he was dealing with food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. She looked to me like she was more of probably the woman who, over time, was supervising everyone. She was kind of like the long-standing servant who. So it makes sense that she was older than the rest and probably near her own death.
Do spirits recognize you ever? Do you you just
Yes.
see them?
Sometimes they do. Well, yes, actually, sometimes they do recognize you. Sometimes they'll communicate with you, and sometimes they won't. It's really, spirits are really just people who no longer have bodies. So they have the same personality they had in life, they have afterlife.
Yeah.
It's the same personality. So if they were engaging in social in their human life, in their physical form, they probably are in their spiritual life.
Are they all just here? What happens? Does every person's spirit also stay on the planet afterwards forever? Or?
No. Spirits, when we die, we have choices. We can cling to where we've been, or we can start to make separations and move along our own spiritual path. And as I mentioned earlier, when our family members die, they feel very close to us after death. But over time, they move on, and we move on, so the energy separation goes on. But people that we typically call ghosts, that term ghosts, is a term used for spirits who've left their bodies, but haven't left their physical reality. They're hanging on, they're clinging on, they're holding on for whatever reason. And the reasons are all different. So ghosts typically are spirits who died and haven't left. They're still here in the physical realm. It's not necessarily good or bad, it just is. And, in some way you can say they're not moving on their own spiritual journey. So.
Hey, so I wanted to thank Sandy Turner, who was our guide, and also Kay Robinson, who's the intuitive, who helped us get in touch with the spirits that are actually in the building. Frankly, I didn't really know what to expect when I showed up here. I grew up in the area. I'd always heard about Winchester Mystery House, never really came. I kind of just thought, okay, that's what happens when somebody has a little money and they're a little bit nutty and they just kind of spend it on whatever and there's nobody to check them, right? It's an amazing building. It was great to be there. And possibly, this is what really needed to happen, The medium told her there needs to be a place for spirits, and this is the place where they live. I don't entirely doubt it. And I'll tell you one thing. Those spirits that are there, they're pretty nice. They're Casper-type spirits. Unless you come like Halloween. Don't come in Halloween unless you have a very strong constitution.